G'day everybody, my name is Paul Bryan and I run Better Fit and Well Coaching, and I would like to give you a bit of information about myself, my journey, where I started, where I'm at now, and the things I'd like to do. Throughout this video I'm going to give you a pretty good idea of where I started and what caused me to want to lose weight, and even put up a couple of pictures of before and afters of me because I find them quite amusing now. But comment and like this video if any of this rings a bell with you, because I want to be able to help anybody that is overweight down with how they're feeling about it, because I can't tell you the freedom I now have and how good I feel having lost so much weight. All right. Enjoy the video. So a little bit about my story. I have been fat since I was young, very young. In primary school, I was a fat kid. In year 8, I weighed around 80 odd kilos, and I've just always been the fat guy. You know, eventually I got to the point where I made fun of it so I could feel better about it, I guess. But I was never happy about it. I always knew it was a bad thing, and I guess I just came to the point of saying, this is just me, this is just who I am. I've got a bad metabolism, I've got big bones, and all those sort of other crap that I told myself. I have my own business. I'm a cabinet maker. I build furniture and that sort of thing. And it's become more and more difficult, obviously, as I'm getting older, to work hard and to push through, because when you're carrying too much weight, everything's a lot harder. So about how I got started. So beginning of last year, beginning of 2019, I was around 110 kilos. Put in perspective, I'm only 5'7", about 170 centimeters tall, and so I was a round fat ball, basically. But you know, I have a wife who dressed me well, and I thought for the most part I looked good, but I knew I was fat, really fat. I'd talk to guys who weighed more than me and I'd feel not so bad, but forgetting they were 6 foot something. But I really got to the point where probably around February I knew I really had to do something. My dad, being over 70, was going in to have a stent put in his heart. He's found it very difficult to lose weight now that he's older, and I definitely didn't want to get to that point. But the other thing is, I was looking at my kids, and while I try and keep my kids active, I couldn't keep up with them, and so they weren't being as active as they really should be, because we go into the basketball court, I do a lap of the court and I'm done. So around April, May, I actually got a hold of a friend who's a personal trainer, and sat down and said, look, I need to do something. What can I do? Bearing in mind I've got a form of arthritis. I've got various injuries from being young and dumb and lifting too much heavy weight. Anyway, he started me on some high intensity training, obviously being careful with the problems I have, and also on a low carb diet. And you know what? I saw some results. I started, losing a bit of weight. I started, feeling better. I was definitely wrecked after the gym like nothing else. But I knew I wasn't eating as well as I could be. I knew I wasn't. I was still taking in a lot of rubbish. And that's when I really started researching as much as I could about the human body and what we're meant to be running on, and how we're meant to be gathering energy in our body, and the type of foods that we just weren't meant to live on, like sugar our bodies just weren't made to process the amount of processed sugar that we contain in our everyday diet now. And so after, a bit of, well, probably quite a lot of research, I ended up at the keto diet, and various people I followed on YouTube giving me pointers, and they all sort of pointed in the same direction. So I just said, you know what, stuff it, I'm going whole hog. And it was June, was it towards the end of June, and I gave it a go for, I don't know, about 5 or 6 days. Felt good, and then had some stuff I shouldn't have had, and then whatnot, and then really came to the point where I knew that I'd have to really hit at this. So it was right around the beginning of July that I was about 107 kilos, and I decided to go whole hog into the keto diet and the exercise around losing weight while on the keto diet. And so I started with not the best start. I was working about 65 hours a week, and it was difficult, but I was up late preparing meals and all that sort of thing. But eventually I came to the point where I had to kickstart into the next goal, and so I developed how I was going to make my keto coffee for the mornings, what I was going to have for lunches prepared, and because we have several different dietary requirements in our household due to allergies and whatnot, I had to learn to adapt whatever we were having to be keto friendly, and so that's what I did. Every morning I had my keto coffee. On Sunday night I would cook up all my meals for the week, and I would have stuff in the fridge and cupboard ready to go to add or subtract from whatever we were having for dinner, so that we weren't making 4 different meals every night. And so it started. I jumped into it, and I started, I was getting started into some exercise, but I actually pulled it right back to be walking. And now at 107 kilos, and you're working fairly hard throughout the day, walking at night, that was tough. I mean, some of my neighbours must have thought there was some sort of pervert out on the street, because they'd hear me going, just walking. And this was like, 2-3 Ks. And I was just absolutely wrecked by the end of it. But eventually, after about 2 weeks, I got out to a 5K stretch, which I was able to do and get back from without being completely wrecked. And over the period of about 3 months, I actually, between July and end of September, I also started doing intermittent fasting, which helped so much. It helped me curb what I was eating, how much I felt like I needed to eat, because I still had that mentality from before where I thought, I should be eating more. I'm using a lot of energy, I should be eating more. But I got down to the point where I was walking comfortably 5 Ks in like 45 minutes. And I wanted to get that up, obviously, to be a bit more of a jog, but, still being really quite overweight. But when I got to September, we went away on a holiday, and I realised when I was packing my clothes that all my clothes were really big. I'd lost 20 kilos since the beginning of the year. I was now at 90 kilos. So in that period from July to September, I had lost 17 kilos. And that was just mind-boggling. Like I'd anticipated getting to about 95 kilos, and I got to that point, and I just sort of, well, this is just easy, I'll just keep going. Not really having an end target in mind. And then it got to sort of 90, and I thought, well, I'd like to get under 90, maybe 85. So I started going more, and I sort of hung around 88 for a while. I got a bit bummed about it, and until I realised that I was still eating enough calories for a person who was 105 kilos. So I adjusted my calorie intake. I got to the point where I could sort of jog and walk my 5K, and I started incorporating some calisthenics exercise, you know, push-ups, pull-ups, crunches, planking, that sort of thing. And I made it to 85, and I thought, you know what? 75 kilos is the top end of my BMI weight range, and 15% body fat. I think I can make that. Because whilst I was 85 kilos, felt fantastic. I've lost like 25 kilos since the beginning of the year. And so I got to that point, and I thought, you know, but I'm not looking how I want to look. And so I went hard at it. And I can say that by mid-February of 2020, I'd made it down to 75 kilos and 15% body fat. Now, that means I still have some fat on me, but I also have a lot of excess skin, which is something to bear in mind. But I've never felt so good. You know, I can do pull-ups. You know, I can do 20 push-ups. When I started, I could do like 3. I can jog 5Ks, whereas when I started, I couldn't even walk 3Ks properly. And it's been an amazing journey. I'm actually now working on my physical fitness, and so I'm building muscle now and reducing my body fat as opposed to trying to lose weight. I'm generating muscle. Because in the past I had actually built muscle from being quite fat, but the problem is that when you do that, from experience, if you stop for any reason, like for instance I got sick, all that muscle you made from your fat turns back into fat. That's not a myth. It happened to me twice. Once in late high school and once in my mid-20s. So it's really easy to fall into that pattern. But if I can encourage you with anything, I would say, you know, look into the keto diet, look into intermittent fasting. Combining the two is fantastic. As I said, I did most of my weight loss, which is now at 35 kilos, with minimal exercise. It was mostly walking, a few push-ups, a few squats, that sort of thing. Nothing very strenuous. The only time I got into more strenuous exercise when I was much fitter and I wanted to start pushing myself to start building muscle. So I'm now, as I said, 75 kilos. I'm sleeping better than ever. I have more energy and a much better state of mind. Because when I started, I can tell you right now, depression was a serious problem. Looking in the mirror was not fun at all. I'd started to develop that real decent belly overhang where there's a crease underneath your belly where it hangs over your pants. Okay. And I was wearing a size 3XL in my work shirts. I'm now down to a medium. And so much stuff just made me so depressed because I'd hate myself for being fat. And so I'd eat because eating made me feel good. Eating reduced the stress, which made me fat, which made me hate myself, which made me eat, which made me fat. It's a circle. But when I got into my head that I really had to change, not just for me, I had to change for my wife, for my kids. I had to change so that I would still be here when I'm 45, for goodness sake, because I was 35 kilos overweight and working myself into an early grave. Best case scenario, I'd be alive but not able to function. Not even kidding. So, look, I hope you got something out of this. I'm hoping to bring more videos over the next few weeks. I've actually got some people I'd like to interview as well to get more in-depth exposure on this. But hit me up with any messages. If any of this resonated with you, please comment on the video and let me know if any of this is working for you. I really want to be able to help anyone I can. You know, 30 kilos in 6 months is actually not hard. I did it after 30 years of being fat. I lost 30 kilos in 6 months. It took me an extra 5. It took me an extra couple of months after Christmas to lose an extra 5 kilos. I'm happy with that. And now I'm building some muscle and actually becoming a really fit man. At 38 years old, I am the fittest I have been, and I'm the lightest I've been since I was like 10, maybe 12. That's about it. I know I wasn't this fit in high school. All right. Thanks, guys. Like, comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Thanks.